Hey everyone, Andy Allen here for Applied Shotokan. Today we're going to look at how to sew your patch onto your karate gi. Alright, first thing you need to do is position and mark the location of your patch. So with your gi on and your belt on as well, get this in the position on your left chest where you want it to appear. And once you have it in the spot you're happy with, what you're going to do is take a pencil and at 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 and 9 o'clock, put a little pencil mark, which will wash off later, on both the patch and your gi. Next, we're going to iron the patch on. Now, the patches I bought for my club have an adhesive on the back and it's heat activated. It's not nearly strong enough to actually keep the patch on your gi while you're training, but it is nice to temporarily kind of secure it to the fabric while you sew it. So I have my iron already heated. You don't want to iron right on top of the patch. You may or may not affect the coloration. And so all I'm going to do is I'm going to take an old rag, put that on there, and you got to make sure you don't move the patch. And I'm going to apply the heat. This takes a little bit, so be patient. Okay, here we go. Nice and secure, time for sewing. Now for the hard part, sewing the patch on. So you're gonna need some thread, of course, and you want this to be the same or similar color as your patch. This is a little bit of an off-white color. It's close enough for what I need. You're going to need yourself a needle and of course a thimble. That's an absolute must, unless you have fingers of stone. And the first thing you need to do is, when you rip off your thread, make sure you get lots. My patch is only about 3 inches in diameter, but I've got myself about 4 feet of thread. It's more than I need, but hey, I can make it shorter, but I can't make it longer. So first thing you need to do is tie a knot at one end. That's going to stop the thread from slipping through your gi and your patch. So make a loop like that. Okay, you can see the loop there. And from there, I'm going to make a knot. And I'm going to do that a few times to make that knot as thick as possible. Make sure the knot is in the same spot every time, and you keep repeating that process until you get something big enough that's not going to slip through the fabric. So I'm not going to cut this excess off just yet until I make sure it's not going to slip through. Next thing you're going to do is thread the needle, and it helps if you have a fresh cut. So if you had just ripped the thread off, you may need to give that a cut. Give that a lick, and then that will make it a little easier to thread the needle. All right, pull that through a fair bit. Get your thimble ready. Now we're ready to start sewing. So make sure you start from the back, because you don't want the excess on the front of your patch. Okay, so you find the edge of your patch like so. I'm gonna go through like that. Don't go right on the very edge because the crest tends to be thicker there. It's really hard to get through. I'm gonna move my finger out of the way and start that needle through. Flip it, pull it through the other side. All right, so you can see that my knot is not pulling through. Great, so I'm just gonna continue. So depending on what kind of training you're doing will kind of determine how close your stitches are going to be. If you don't do any kind of grappling, then you can probably put these maybe 1/2 centimeter apart. If you do any grappling where there's a lot of tugging and pulling, that might not be good enough, so you can put your stitches a little closer together. So I finished sewing the circumference of the patch, and here I am at the end, but now I need to tie a knot at the end. Let's take our thimble off. Now, just to get it out of the way, this extra thread where I started my sewing, I'm going to get rid of that. And this is a little bit tricky if you haven't done it before. Not too bad. I'm going to just cut off a little bit of my length there. All right, now from here, I'm going to loop this around, because I need a knot right here so the stitching doesn't come out. So I loop that around a couple fingers. I'm going to pull that through like this. And then once I have that there, I'm going to take my needle put it right at the spot where the thread's coming through the fabric, pull that, and my knot should appear down near the end. And I keep doing that a bunch of times, get a nice thick knot, and then I'll be finished. All right, let's have a look. All right, looks good, nice and secure. Hope that's helpful for you and your students. Until next time, I'm Andy Allen for Applied Short Hand.